This is Gregory. Gregory is a bee. He lives here in a beehive with all of his bee friends. There are a lot of them in the hive, but Gregory's best friend is a bee named Jared. One day, Gregory decided that he needed some time away from the hive, so he asked Jared if he wanted to go gather pollen with him. As they were flying, they talked. "What's going on, Gregory?" Jared asked. "You never usually want to leave the hive." "I'm just in a bad mood today," Gregory answered. "Why? What happened?" "It's Tommy. We went out the other day and I found this really nice flower that I was just about to land on, and then, out of nowhere, Tommy just comes flying in from across the field and steals it away from me." "Wow, Gregory," Jared said. "That's rough." "I know!" Gregory shouted. "He was nowhere near that flower. He just came flying in from the opposite corner of the field because he saw that I wanted it first." Now, when Gregory says that Tommy flew in from the opposite corner of the field, he's saying that Tommy came in diagonally. Diagonally is an adjective used to describe something that is diagonal, and a diagonal is defined as a straight line connecting two opposite corners of a straight-sided shape. So, if you imagine the field that Gregory is talking about as a square, with him on one side and Tommy on the other, then you can imagine how he would have flown over to Gregory's flower. A diagonal is also the shortest distance across a square, so it was the quickest way for Tommy to get to Gregory's flower. Gregory and Jared came across a field of yellow flowers. They sat down and then continued their conversation. "So what did you do then?" Jared asked. "I was so mad, I didn't even know what to do," Gregory answered. "I just felt myself getting exponentially angrier until I thought I was going to explode." Now, when Gregory says that he was getting exponentially angrier, he means that he was getting angry at an extremely fast rate. An exponent is the quantity representing the power to which a given number or expression is to be raised. So, if we were to ask Gregory how angry he was when Tommy stole his flower, on a scale of 1 to 10, and he said 10, then if he got exponentially angrier, we would multiply his anger by 10 repeatedly. Now, if Gregory would have said his anger was increasing, we would think of adding. If we were to say his anger was multiplying, then we would think of multiplication. But because he said that he was getting exponentially angrier, we would think of raising his anger to an exponent or multiplying his anger by itself repeatedly. As Jared had been listening to Gregory's story, he began to wonder, what was so great about this flower that it made Gregory so incredibly mad at Tommy? So he asked, "Hey Gregory, what made this flower so special?" Gregory's whole mood changed as he described this perfect flower to his friend. "Oh, Jared, you would have loved this flower. It was bright red and perfectly symmetrical." Something that is symmetrical, or that has symmetry, is made up of exactly similar parts facing each other or around an axis. Basically, it is exactly even on all sides. Gregory continued his description. "Not to mention, we were there at sunrise, so the flowers were just starting to open up, and the petals on this flower just expanded perfectly." Expanding, or expansion, is the action of becoming larger or more extensive. Jared could picture the flower, and believed Gregory when he talked about how great it was, but he just couldn't see what it was that made Gregory so mad. There were plenty of flowers. Why couldn't Gregory just go to one of those instead? Oh well, Jared thought, maybe if I let it go, so will Gregory, and we can go back to the hive without talking about it anymore. Unfortunately for Jared, Gregory was not ready to let it go. He suddenly shouted out, very angrily, "What is the probability of him choosing the exact same flower as me?" And that was a good question. What was the probability of Tommy choosing the exact same flower as him? Most likely extremely small, since we would imagine that the field of flowers would be huge, and probability is defined as the extent to which something is probable, or the likelihood of something happening. Jared, in a desperate attempt to end the conversation, said, "Oh well, these flowers are pretty nice." Gregory looked at Jared. Then he looked down at the flower he was standing on. "Huh, I guess they are." "Huh, I guess they are."